Oh, hello there. You have just caught me at the 1/4 mark of my journey towards the Mandalorian and Grogu. We can now check off one season in the books. Of course, my name is Daniel Strunk. Welcome back to QuickTime Reactions, and you find me on my way to the Mandalorian and Grogu, where I'm going to be reviewing every single season of The Mandalorian, 1 through 3, as well as Book of Boba Fett. And we are here, ladies and gentlemen. Season 1, Episode 8, the final episode of Season 1, which is titled Redemption. This episode was directed by none other than Mr. IG-88's voice actor, Taika Waititi. And the episode was once again written by Jonfavreau. All of our heroes are at their darkest point. Queel is dead, the child is captured by stormtroopers, and Cara, Mando, and Greef Karga are trapped in the cantina with Moff Gideon and a whole lot of stormtroopers waiting to burst inside. Who is inevitably going to come out on top? So, I very specifically remember watching this episode when it first came out. I was home on Christmas break from college, and I was able to watch, I think I was able to watch this episode with my family, because if I remember correctly, the episode that was out last week, I say last week, like, I'm flashing back to when it was, the previous episode, which were released back then a week beforehand. That episode came out before Rise of Skywalker. So, and I think I was also home for that episode as well. Maybe. But I remember watching that episode and then going to see Rise of Skywalker and then immediately jumping back into this. And I really remember the Star Wars fandom being like in flux. More in flux than I think it is now. But people loved Mando, the Mandalorian. They go and see Rise of Skywalker and people are wishy-washy about it. And then the last episode of Mandalorian comes out and everyone's like, hooray, Star Wars. So, it was very much in flux, Star Wars, at that point, at least from what I can remember. I love the way that this opens up. We are with the stormtroopers who have captured the child, and, one of them's on the radio, or on the comms, and is like, we have permission to come into the town, and it's like, nope, not yet, and then they're just, jaw-jacking about random stuff. They pull out their blasters, and, they're horrible at aiming. I love the fact that one of them, like, shakes the blaster, like, oh, something's wrong with this blaster. No, it's just, y'all are horrible at aiming. Then, IG shows up and takes care of both of them, and takes the speeder that he did not smash, and he rides that puppy into town. Meanwhile, back at the cantina, our group of friends are very much in a spot of bother. They are quite literally surrounded by stormtroopers and death troopers and Moff Gideon, and they are assembling an E-Web to basically unleash all sorts of horrible, horrible stuff into that cantina. But Moff Gideon wants to try and, do things peacefully. And I love the fact that he just runs everybody down, Cara is a shock trooper that was on Alderaan, so she has seen a lot of stuff and saw the destruction of her planet. Runs down Grief, and he also runs down Mando, or should we now call him Dindjarin. This is the episode in which his actual name is revealed, which was such a cool revelation. And this leads into the flashback scene in which Mando essentially joins the Mandalorians. He's with his parents and they're running away from I forget the term. I think the term is, I'm probably wrong on this, but the super attack droids, I think they were in episodes 2 and 3, the prequel movies. I think they were in episode 2 and episode 3 of the, and when I say episode 2 and episode 3, I mean the prequel trilogy. I think those were the movies that they were in, maybe. But Din is hid away. We've seen this. He's hid away in a storage space. An explosion goes off, and the droid opens up the door, points the weapon, but then that droid gets gunned down, and it is a Mandalorian who comes and rescues Din, and all sorts of Mandalorians come in and swarm the town, destroying droids left, right, and center. So, 3 things that I want to point out. 1, the score by Jorgensen. Chef's kiss. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful in this scene. It is so good. 2, this is probably why Mando has a hatred of droids, because, one of them almost killed him. And 3, the the Mandalorians that came and rescued him were members of the Death Watch. Because I saw the insignia of the Death Watch on one of the shoulder pieces, which I thought, now that I know who the Death Watch are a little bit, I now understand that reference. There's another reference in this episode that I understand a lot more now than I did back then. So they're trying to find a way out. Mando's trying to look for a sewer because that's where, the Mandos are hiding in on Navarro. They do find an exit, but IG comes in, just taking care of stormtroopers left, right, and center, which gives them an opening to just start unloading fire onto all sorts of stormtroopers. Excuse me. Mando grabs the E-web and just starts clearing house. But Moff Gideon gets a shot in on Mando, and instead of shooting him again, he shoots the power supply for the E-web, which causes a huge explosion, sends Mando back, and our gang retreats back into the cantina. Meanwhile, Moff Gideon decides, we're going to burn him out, and sends in a flame trooper. Now, if I were to cosplay as a stormtrooper, it's either a death trooper or a flame trooper, because their armor is so much better than a regular stormtrooper. It's not even fair. It's not even fair. Both of their armors look so much better than just a normal stormtrooper. Even though stormtrooper look is classic, I understand that. But Death Troopers and Flame Troopers look so much better, in my opinion. Mando's hurt bad, and he just wants them to go without him. Cara doesn't want that, obviously, but that is what indeed happens. But IG stays behind because, his changed settings. He is a nurse and protocol droid. So he tries to help Mando. Mando obviously does not want that help because, one, that involves removing his helmet, and two, he's a droid and he doesn't like droids. But he says the key line, no living thing will see my face after I put this helmet on. And IG points out, he's not a living thing. So, haha, loophole, Sherlock. And so the helmet comes off and we see a mangled but still beautiful Pedro Pascal face. The one and only time that we see his face in this season, which I thought was really cool that we actually did get to see, the man under the helmet at least one time in the season. And so IG patches him up with some Bacta spray. They get their way into the tunnel and make their way to the armorer, who is still there, kind of just salvaging, pieces that are left over from when all the Mandos basically fled. And she sees the creature that helped Mando escape the Mudhorn because he told the armorer that he couldn't accept, his signet because someone helped him. Well, she's now seen that someone and now bestows upon him the signet of the Mudhorn, which will represent a clan of 2, which I think is that's pretty cool. What is also equally cool is after all that and the fact that Mando gets a jetpack, stormtroopers come running in. Our good guy team has basically left the armor forge a little while, but then the armorer kicks all sorts of ass, throws one dude into the vat of Beskar, cracks a couple helmets as well. Like, the armorer kicks ass, and I wish we see more of her in combat. Like, I understand that you have to have like some kind of mystique around, the armorer, but like, come on, man. I want to see her do a lot more combat. Come on. So they eventually make it to a lava river, and they get on a boat, and they think they're home free. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a squad of stormtroopers waiting on them to just basically blitz them and kill them all. But IG still has his secondary protocol, in which he cannot be captured and basically self-destructs, and is basically willing to sacrifice himself in order for everyone else to be okay. And that's exactly what happens. They tease that all the way back in the beginning of the first episode, and now it has come to fruition. IG is gone. But sad feelings cannot last, because here comes Moff Gideon in his TIE fighter, shooting them down and just trying to destroy them once and for all. Mando equips his jetpack and flies into the sky to try and take down Moff Gideon. He sets a couple of explosive charges onto one of the wings, and basically it explodes and the TIE fighter goes down. So Moff Gideon is pretty much done. And with everything taken care of, Grief Karga has now says that Navarro is, free of all the scum and villainy there is, and can now be a respectable town again. Kara decides that she's probably going to stick around for a little bit, maybe even become Grief's lieutenant, in charge of keeping, respect in the streets. And Mando and the child are going to go off and have some happy adventures. Everything seems to be well. Well, I shouldn't say happy adventures. Mando was also tasked to try and find his home, which essentially means find Jedi. Or raise him as his own, and have him become part of the clan of Mandos. Either option is viable. But he is going to try and find the child his home. And so everything seems to end on a happy note. But as some Jawas scavenge the TIE fighter wreckage, we see something cutting a hole in the side of that TIE fighter. It's Moff Gideon from inside. He is very much alive, but he also has the dark saber. Now, I will tell you, and I'm being straight up honest, when I saw this back in 2019, when it first aired, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that say. I knew it was lightsaber, but I didn't know the significance behind that saber. But now I do. It is the only Mandalorian lightsaber, and it has a very interesting lineage that will be explored in later seasons of the show. But I think I will just leave it at that for now. And so there you have it. Season 1 of The Mandalorian is done. I think this really laid a great foundation for the stuff that we're going to be getting in Season 2 and beyond. In my opinion, this was really, really good stuff, and revisiting it all these years later makes me appreciate it even more. Like, this was such a fun time to rewatch this, and just reliving those old memories again. It was so much fun. But next up is quite possibly the season that turned many people's heads. A lot of highs were achieved in this season, and maybe potentially soured everyone else on season 3, maybe, to maybe potentially reach those highs again. We'll talk about it once we delve into the season. But yes, next up is season 2. But until then, guys, be safe out there. And if you're going to wield a saber, just make sure you don't point like the blade of it towards you. Like, that would be a really bad, nasty injury. So just be careful when using a lightsaber. That's all I'm going to say. And I will catch you guys next time.